Hello, I'm Colin Gallagher, CEO at Onward and Upward, and you're listening to the Association 100 podcast, where each week we interview association leaders from across the country to hear how they're trying new things, taking big risks, and delivering value for their members. We'll explore the realities of what it means to work in and with associations and bring you the insights and inspiration you need to advance your career and make big changes at your association. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the A100 podcast. I'm your host, Colin Gallagher, and today we've got a special treat for you as we gear up for the ASAE Annual Conference in Cleveland this weekend. We'll be featuring a series of clips from our past interviews with some of the brightest minds and leaders in the association world. These leaders have shared invaluable advice and insights, and we're thrilled to bring you some of their highlights today. And don't forget, we'll be conducting live interviews right from the show floor at ASAE. Be sure to stop by booth 1454 and say hello. All right, let's dive in. Our first clip features Chris Michaels, CEO of the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. Chris discusses a significant milestone for their organization, the inclusion of family therapists as Medicare providers, and the importance of continuity of care, especially for our aging population, showcasing the power of advocacy from associations.
We fought this battle for over 30 years trying to have our family therapists become providers. So we could see you all the way up until the time you entered Medicare. So for us, about continuity of care is one big thing. But the other thing is that our aging population, as we know, the baby boomers is one of the largest generations. And the fact that there's not enough therapists in general to help this population was just mind blowing to me. And the fact that it's taken us so long to try to get in there, because we all know mental health is important. It doesn't get easier as we become a member of the senior population. And this is critical for us to allow the Medicare population to be able to have access to good quality therapy. And we're delighted that we finally have now launched in January, and our therapists are signing up to become Medicare providers. And really, we hope this will help people seek out the therapy and get the help that they need.
Next up is Mike Armstrong, CEO of the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards. Mike talks about the importance of recognizing multiple pathways to practice architecture. He emphasizes the need for flexibility and the use of technology to measure competency, acknowledging that one size does not fit all in educational and professional development, and emphasizing the importance of taking the lead as an association.
We're also looking at the fact that we should honor what we call multiple pathways to practice. Not everyone can afford to go to an accredited architecture school. And so a growing number of jurisdictions are saying that you can get extra experience in lieu of education. There are a variety of reasons why people don't follow a traditional path. And again, as we mature and become more sophisticated on how to use technology and how to measure competency, we are better positioned to acknowledge that everybody learns a little bit differently and everyone manifests their knowledge a little bit differently. One size does not fit all, and imposing a one path tradition based upon people who are in late career designing all the programs based on what they experienced when they were first going through licensure is not only outdated, but it's also biased.
Kinsey Fabrizio, president of the Consumer Technology Association, provides us with two key pieces of advice for career growth for association professionals. She emphasizes the importance of asking for new opportunities with a clear purpose and finding a good mentor to guide your journey.
I have two pieces of advice. One, definitely ask for new opportunities, but make sure when you do that, you're explaining the why. What problem is this going to solve? And what's going to be the impact and the relevance or the revenue? Where will this opportunity that you're asking for or you're proposing take the organization to the next level? That's one piece of advice for how to grow your career, really be impactful. And then the second piece of advice is to find a really good mentor.
Next was one of my favorite interviews as a communicator. Anita Brickman, president and CEO of the Plasma Protein Therapeutics Association, talks about the power of advocacy and how personal stories from patients drive their mission.
When it comes to advocating on behalf of our members, What is so exciting about PPTA and what makes that easier is the outcome that our members and PPTA is seeking. This is to provide better access to plasma-derived therapies for patients. And what is so wonderful about this association is the close relationship with the patients, working with associations in bleeding disorders, such as hemophilia, primary immune disease, neurological conditions. When you meet some of these individuals, we were just at a briefing on Capitol Hill where we had a patient who had been diagnosed with CIDP, a rare disorder that really affects the nerves throughout the body. And to hear him talk about losing his ability to walk, his heart being affected, his health deteriorating rapidly. And then once the diagnosis was made and plasma-derived therapy infusions began, he got his life back. So it is easy to keep your eye on the ball when that is the outcome that you are going for.
Anita also emphasizes the critical role of communications in ensuring the success of association initiatives.
Communications can't be the afterthought. It can't be just the last stop of the message out of the association. Of course, communications has to serve, quote unquote, our internal clients within an association. What does the regulatory team need? What kind of leave behinds do our lobbyists need on Capitol Hill? Comms needs to make that happen. But comms can't be brought in at the 11th hour just to get the project out the door or clean up something before it goes out the door. To do it right, I think communications needs to be involved from the beginning and understanding the nuances of the messaging throughout. And that helps the association shine. I really believe that.
Earl Franks, Executive Director of the National Association of Elementary School Principals, addresses the significant stress faced by educators and school leaders, particularly highlighted during the COVID-19 pandemic. He underscores the importance of supporting the social and emotional well-being of these critical community members and talks about the critical role associations can play in supporting their members.
We know during the COVID pandemic and since that point, students and school staff are struggling. I know just in some recent survey results, I saw 85% of principals and 73% of teachers reported experiencing job-related stress. And by comparison, only 35% of adults working outside of the education field reported experiencing job-related stress. So we know it's a big problem. And we're trying to support our people, school leaders, because we know that they're uniquely positioned to help staff and the students inform strategies to address those issues and ask for significant increased federal support to promote that well-being of educators and students. We know that school leaders are concerned about their faculty, staff, and students, but as an association that supports school leaders, we're concerned about their social, emotional wellness as well.
Next, we have Wendy Jo Toyama, CEO of the American Academy of Hospice and Palliative Medicine. Wendy Jo shares her insights on personal growth and the importance of stretching beyond your comfort zone.
I think how you show up is important. And I do think you have to stretch. I once had a mentor who I told her I was going to do something and I said I was scared. And she said, that's good. If you're scared, you're stretching, you're growing. And so I think we have to stretch. So I think there's a number of people who are probably listening to the podcast who are wondering if they're ready to be a CEO. And I would say, sure you are. Talk to other women CEOs, find out what their path was. Think about what you might need to do to fill your gaps. But more than anything, put yourself out there.
Wendy also discusses the vital DEI work and the necessity of embracing mistakes as part of the learning process.
I think that the one thing I would say about the DEI work that I think is important for people to keep front and center is that we will make mistakes. And I get very frustrated when I see people backing away from the work because they don't want to make mistakes. And here's the example I'll give. You become a CEO, suddenly you have a big meeting you have to run, but your background's membership marketing or advocacy. You don't know a meeting. So you don't come to that association and say, oh, you know what?
I'm afraid I don't know meetings. We're going to make a mistake. So I'm just not going to do that work. Like you just don't want to say that. But that seems to be a hall pass for doing DEI work.
And that's a wrap on our special episode featuring highlights from our interviews with these incredible leaders. We hope you found their insights as inspiring and valuable as we did. And don't forget, we are headed on the road to ASAE Annual Conference in Cleveland, and we would absolutely love to meet you in person if you're going to be there. Please do come visit us at booth 1454 and say hello. We're going to be conducting live interviews there, podcast, video, articles, everything. And we'd just love to hear your stories and insights. We have a few spots left if you're hearing this the day it goes live. So shoot me a note, cgallagher@onwardupward.com, or find me on LinkedIn and send a message and we'll get you signed up. But until then, keep leading and innovating in your associations. We're always just so blown away by the amazing things that so many associations out there are doing. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap for today's episode. The Association 100 podcast is a production of Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications, where our mission is to make associations and nonprofits the go-to source in their industries through earned media and thought leadership. This podcast is an extension of the A100 newsletter, a bi-monthly collection of best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies delivered straight to your inbox. Have you undertaken a big change at your association, or do you have some words of wisdom for the trenches of association life? We want to hear from you, and so do our listeners. Drop us a note at info@onwardupward.com. That's info@onwardupward.com. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share with your friends and colleagues. We're available anywhere podcasts are found. Come back next week for more association inspiration and insights. Thanks for tuning in.